Vincent Kompany to Bayern Munich is done. It's over. It's signed, sealed, delivered. We can all officially move on with our lives. I'm not going to lie, I'm still pretty gutted that he's gone, but I'm over it now. I've expected it for about 3 or 4 days. I'm just glad that it's finally done so we can move on and get a new manager involved and then look forward to the new season and some of the upcoming pre-season friendlies that have been rumoured to be in and around Europe. So fingers crossed we can all get a manager in well before then, and then we can move on and hopefully have a good season next season. Now, we are, of course, still waiting for the official announcement from both Burnley Football Club and Bayern Munich at the time of recording this. You may be watching it afterwards. As soon as it is announced by Bayern Munich and or Burnley, we will try and go live within the hour here on the Turfcast YouTube channel and over on the Turfcast Facebook as well, probably even Twitter as well. We don't normally stream on Twitter, but with it being such a big event, we might do this time. Now, the 3 big journalists that have been all over this one are Florian Plettenberg of Sky Germany, Fabrizio Romano, the transfer Don, and Sasha Torvalira, who is a Belgian journalist, who, to be fair, I'll probably owe a bit of an apology to, because he did tweet out, about a week and a half ago, sort of saying that Burnley were looking at replacements in case Kompany wanted to leave, and then quite a few Burnley fans, myself included, did give him a bit of stick, saying that's absolutely rubbish. Of course you're talking rubbish, but it's turned out to be spot on, to be fair. The reason why I did it personally is because the chairman came out and said, I can't remember what he said now. Like, he basically accused him of lying, and then there was a bit of back and forth between the chairman and Sasha. So, being a Burnley fan, I backed the chairman. I ended up looking a little bit silly, to be fair. So I do apologise to Sasha for that. I do hope that a lot of people at the club learn from this and learn to do their business in private rather than calling out journalists on Twitter, because now he's got a little bit of egg on his face, to be fair. So, I like Alan. I think he gets a lot of unnecessary stick, but I think that one and the Nathan Teller thing, admittedly that was his daughter, they've ended up looking pretty silly with them 2 situations. Now, as I've said, I am disappointed to see Kompany leave. Now, I know we had a horrendous season last season, but the reason why I am disappointed to see him leave because I genuinely believed he would take us back up from the Championship again into the Premier League like he did 2 seasons ago. I thought that, yes, we have an inflated squad, but he's been with these players for 2 years. The style of play was now ingrained into these players, and he could attract players as well, and we would have got some money from the likes of Odebear and Sanderberg when they probably are sold on, and he'd be a good person to get new blood into the club like he has done over the last 2 summers. So I was expecting to pretty much win the league again, if I'm honest with you, or at least challenge for the top 2, and at the very worst fail and land in the playoffs. But now, because of all this turbulence, because of all this uncertainty, I'm not sure. Can we even get top 6? I mean, ask me again in 2-3 weeks when hopefully we've got a manager appointed. But yeah, this turbulence for me gives me a bit of anxiety going into the season, and that's why I didn't want him to leave. Like, I know a lot of fans wanted him sacked, and some people now are coming out saying, I'm glad he's gone, we've saved a lot of money, we should have sacked him in November, we could have sacked him in November coming. And because of that, we've saved so much money. Like, we're getting money for him. And obviously, if we'd have sacked him, we'd have had to pay him money. So there is that side of the argument, and I get it. But going into the season, I think everything's just up in the air now, and it's a little bit worried that the preparations for the season are starting like this, in my opinion. Now, it was Sasha Torvalira that announced Vincent Kompany to Bayern Munich as a done deal first. He tweeted earlier today, at the time of recording this, Vincent Kompany is now FC Bayern Munich's new manager. Final agreement has been reached, found by Christoph Freund, on compensation around €13 million. The Belgian head coach said his goodbyes to Burnley FC on Wednesday and will bring members of his staff like Florian and Gulala. Again, apologies if I butchered that, I definitely have, with him. As revealed on the 22nd of April, Vincent Kompany was well and truly going to leave Burnley FC. Now, Sasha is the only one reporting this, and this was the one where I said earlier I probably owe him an apology. This one annoys me. I'm not for 1 second saying Sasha's wrong again, but this bit annoys me. A lot of us have sat here and said, it's Bayern Munich, to be fair, so he's going to go. Bayern Munich weren't showing an interest in him all the way back on the 22nd of April, I don't think. There may have been a bit of conversations, but nothing was reported then. But it looked to me like he had decided, if this line is true, which I have no reason now to believe it isn't, that Vincent Kompany wanted to leave Burnley FC. He'd already decided before the end of the season that he wanted to leave Burnley FC. So all this stuff that we're saying in his press conferences over the last month and a half was just total BS, if that is true. I have no reason to not believe Sasha anymore, because he was the person that called it first, and he's left me, Alan Pace, and quite a few Burnley fans looking a little bit silly, to be fair. Now, there's been a lot of debate and a lot of mixed reports on the amount of compensation that Burnley will receive for Vincent Kompany. I've seen some people saying 10 million euros. I've seen some people saying 20 million euros. The Florian Plettenberg that I mentioned numerous times in this video already said somewhere between 12 and 15. I think Fabrizio Romano put 12. But the people that I trust the most with this is the local journalists. Your Andy Jones of The Athletic, your Matt Scraftons of the Burnley Express. And Andy Jones earlier today tweeted, Vincent Kompany will become Bayern Munich's new manager. Clubs reached agreement in principle. Understand initial fee will be around 12 million euros. Expected 3-year deal. Personal terms, no problem. Now Burnley need a new manager. The search has begun. The important words there are initial fee. It looks like Bayern have given us 12 million euros up front, or, well, they've agreed to 12 million euros. Whether they're giving it up front or in stages, we don't know at this stage. But we've got 12 million euros either already or coming for Vincent Kompany. But obviously there will be certain things in there. Say, for example, if he goes on to win the league, which he probably should do. I know they didn't win it last year, but if he's given the time, like if you're going into Bayern Munich, you're going there to win the league, right? They've won 11 out of the last 12 Bundesligas. They failed this year. The pressure's going to be on him now to deliver. So if he goes in there and wins the league, I would imagine Burnley gets some money. If he, I nearly said plays then, if he manages a certain amount of games, Burnley should get some money. So that's the important one there, the initial fee. A lot of these international journalists are saying 12 million euros, but they're not stating that it's initial fee. Now, the reason why I trust Andy more than the international journals on this, because he's obviously talking directly with Burnley FC and people at Burnley FC, whereas the likes of Fabrizio and stuff like that, they'll be talking to Bayern. So I would trust that there's the right things coming out of Burnley, in my opinion, on this. So it's not as much as we would have hoped originally, because a lot of the talk earlier was 20 million euros, and it is obviously a little bit way off that, but who knows, the fees that could be incoming over the next couple of years could be taking it up to closer to that 20 million euro mark. And this is, of course, then backed up by Matt Scrafton of the Burnley Express. He says Vincent Kompany's move to Bayern Munich is all but done. A compensation fee of £10.2 million. Obviously, that's the price difference between euros and pounds. Would make the Clarets boss the fourth most expensive manager in history. I think there's only Klopp and Potter and obviously somebody else in there as well that has cost more. So that in itself shows that we've got quite a good deal here. But obviously with that only being the initial fee and hopefully more money coming soon, it could rise more even yet. Fingers crossed anyway. Now, I know I've already said it, but just to reiterate, I'm still gutted that he's going. I do think he would have been the best person to bring, well, not necessarily the best person, but he would have brought us back up. But let's draw a line under it now. Let's look at who we've got coming in potentially. Cooper, Will Still. Who else is there? There's Knutson, there's Bellamy, there's a lot of candidates out there as well. Mark Robbins, who's one of my personal favourites. Well, I'll do a separate video on that, but the time is now to move on from Vincent Kompany. He's gone. The 5-year plan doesn't mean anything to him anymore. He doesn't want to be a part of it. That's fine. Off you pop. I understand Bayern Munich, it's Bayern Munich. You can't say no to Bayern Munich. But if he has been itching to get out of the club since halfway through April, then it was never about Bayern Munich. It was about Vincent Kompany leaving Burnley Football Club. There has been rumours of a fallout behind the scenes. That's why Bellamy's left, or the rumours are that he's left or had left. Now Kompany's left, he will probably come back. We'll see. It could, like I said earlier, being with a shout at the manager's job. Personally, not for me, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'll do a separate video on it. So it's interesting to see why he wanted to leave, or it will be interesting to see why he wanted to leave halfway through April. Maybe he'd already made his mind up because we were so bad, or because he felt like he was better than Burnley Football Club. It will all come out in the wash eventually. Now, the interesting one is, how do we think Vincent Kompany will do at Bayern Munich? I personally think he will do relatively well. I'm not sure whether he'll go in and win the Bundesliga or the Champions League in his first season, which is what Bayern want to be doing. If they back him and give him enough time, and he wants to stay there like he didn't want to stay at Burnley, if he wants to stay there for the next 5 years, I reckon he wins minimum 3 Bundesligas, if I'm honest. But if he comes in there and has a slow start, and this is the problem for Vincent and for Bayern Munich as to why it's such a risk, but if he goes in there and has a slow start this season, which he may well do, because his job might be too big for him, because he's not experienced at this level as a manager, right? Like, he might go in there, the pressure might be too much, and the pressure will be on to deliver this season for Bayern Munich, because they've just lost their first Bundesliga in 11 years, I think it is, and they've lost it by a counter. They finished third in the end, so the pressure is on. They're hungry for more titles. They're hungry to win the Bundesliga, and obviously they want to be in and around the Champions League as well, and winning that. That's their plan. Can he deliver that in his first season? I'm not so sure. Will he be given the time to do that off the Bayern Munich hierarchy? Again, I'm not so sure. If, for example, he's 5th at Christmas, he'd probably get sacked. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I will personally now be looking at Bayern Munich's results, not wanting him to fail, but just to see how he's getting on, because it's going to be intriguing. I don't think he's ready, personally. I think this job is too soon for him, but if he's given the time, he can then flourish into a manager of elite level and deliver for Bayern Munich. But will they give him the time? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below who you want as your next Burnley manager. We will be doing a separate video on that after everything's been announced and done. And then let me know in the comments as well how you think Vincent Kompany will get on at Bayern Munich next season.